Man, every couple of hours, I feel like I'm refreshing my news feed to find out if there's any new info on that. Let's just call it a tourist submarine that was going down to the Titanic. If you haven't heard this story, 13,000 feet below. It's a 5-person submersive.
It's submersible.
Submersible. Let's call it a submarine.
It's a small vessel.
Because we stupid. So it's like a touristy thing where you go down there and they're charging like $250,000 per passenger to go down there. It should take about 2 hours. Then you hang out in your little submarine, you check out the Titanic wreck, and then you come back up, right? So a couple of days ago, about an hour and 45 minutes into this journey, it just lost communication with everybody. So it is still down there, and they haven't there's good news and bad news. The bad news is there's only like 24 hours of air left in this submersive.
They said by tomorrow morning they'll be out of oxygen.
That's really bad news. The good news is they did hear some pings yesterday from way down below. So they heard something that they thought, okay, this could definitely be it. They just can't locate it yet.
They heard banging, but haven't managed to locate it. And it's I just to put yourself in that position, and that I couldn't imagine how terrified they all have to be if they're in this and they know they're watching the clock tick and just hoping and praying that the Coast Guard can somehow find them.
So I'm guessing if there's no communication to anybody else, it's got to be dark in that thing also. You're 13,000 feet down in a dark, itty-bitty little vessel. I learned this morning that there are no seats. There are no seats and there are no bathrooms on here also, because you're only supposed to be down there for a couple of hours. So there they are in the dark, 13,000 feet down perhaps, and just basically on top of each other.
I'm praying for the best, but after I watched the video of the makers describe the way that it functions and the way that they would get out of emergency situations, no part of that conversation would have made me feel safe to get in that thing at all. I was shocked at how unserious they seemed to be by describing the way that they put this whole thing together.
I'm surprised that anybody would have paid. You could not have paid me to go down there. This thing is literally controlled by an Xbox controller. It's
a $30 controller.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that you would go down that. I mean, I'm not blaming them by any means. I mean, they thought this would be an adventure, but it's so sad.
So this is David Pogue, who does technology reports for CBS. And he said some time ago, he went down on there. They were looking for some publicity. He was curious. He went down there. And he was, like you were saying, a little bit surprised by the lack of technology.
Inside, the sub has about as much room as a minivan.
We only have one button, that's it. It should be like an elevator. It shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan is the only 5-person sub in the world that can reach Titanic depths, 2.4 miles below the sea.
And yet, I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on! It seems like this submersible has some elements of MacGyver-y jerry-riggedness.
The pressure vessel is not MacGyver at all, because that's where we work with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington. Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
And then there's also a side story here. So you have I think you said it was the CEO or owner of this submersible. And then you have a billionaire and his son who were in this because it cost $250,000 to take this tour. Well, a story was just released that the billionaire's stepson, while there's an active search to find his stepfather, went to a Blink-182 concert. Which is not a good look.
It's a really awful look. Well, at first he posted hey, my dad's down there. I'm really, really scared for him. Pray for my dad. And then his next Insta story is him at Blink-182 going, hey, everybody rock out.
I don't even know these people. I have no connection to them whatsoever. And I'm when I wake up at night, I think about the terror and the horror they must be going through. And I'm not even related to them. I wouldn't be able to wouldn't be able to leave my house.
Yeah, if that's the last thing, if he passes away and that's the last thing you posted while they were searching for him, I don't know how you live with yourself on that one right there.
Do you think it's unbridled rich kid confidence that nothing bad will happen? So, of course, my dad's going to be found because the best people in the world are looking for him.
I did feel that yesterday. I mean, because I think there are 2 billionaires on this thing. And I almost felt like that yesterday. These dudes are billionaires. I know that the technology doesn't exist yet, but if I'm watching a movie and there are 2 billionaires down there, they're going to put something together quickly and they're going to get down there and find the guys. And if you're the family member, maybe you do have that feeling.
But it took 73 years to find the Titanic after it sunk. So, I mean, the thing is, and the funny thing is that CBS News clip that we played with that reporter, they went down and they didn't make it past 34 meters, I think, because there was a mechanical failure. And so they had to resurface again. And so I'm just looking at it, and if you go Google the picture of this, it is like a drainage pipe that they're sitting in. It has to be absolutely terrifying.
It's so scary because yesterday I was watching a Navy admiral also saying that the Navy's ships to rescue only go down like 3,000 feet max. And this is at 13,000 feet. So you've got France now in on it. You've got all these international bodies that are trying to help also because nobody can figure this out. Nobody ever thought it would be a problem.
Kristen brought this up off air when we were talking about it, is that based on the depth that they're at, there may not be a rescue submersible or submarine able to dive that deep. And I was watching one woman who was talking about she used to operate robots underwater basically to do dives. And she said they never went that deep, but the rule of thumb was the rescue submarine had more capabilities than what they were diving with in case something went wrong. And they were always tethered to the ship above as well.
So they got 24 hours of air left. So by this time tomorrow, it'll either be a tragic story or it'll be a miracle story, right?
The Bert Show.
Like what you just watched? Well, you can get way more of The Bert Show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.